I just barely got a Onewheel 6 days ago, and there are some things that I have learned with how to use the board, how to start with it. And if you're one of those people out there that are worried about, crashing your Onewheel and breaking something, or maybe you're just getting started in your journey, you just want to learn how to ride your Onewheel, this is going to be a comprehensive video from my perspective of some things that will help make that journey a little bit easier. For those of you that are new here, my name is Austin and this is the Cruisin' YouTube channel. This is a place that you can come to adventure with me on my Onewheel and all things electric, even including Cybertrucks. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe and let's get cruising. Step number one is just understanding the board and its capabilities. That was the first thing that I did right when I got the Onewheel. Understanding certain things so that you can avoid getting hurt, so that you can be competent. That way when you get on your board, you can have a lot of confidence. So I definitely say that the first thing to understand about your Onewheel is how to get on and off it. That way, you're not gonna crash just simply by, let's say that you get on and it takes off and you don't even know what to do. So there are 3 specific ways to get off the board. There's 1 specific way to get on the board. There's more than 3 ways to get off the board. You could also just crash and hit your face, but we're gonna avoid that in this video. So first things first is getting on your board. You're gonna take your back foot and put it on the side of the board that is down on the ground, just like this. And you're trying to make it completely horizontal with the board. You can also, whatever's more comfortable for you, if you want to go slightly open or slightly closed, you can do that as well. Figure out what's comfortable for you. The most important thing is making sure that your foot is directly centered on the board. If it's not, you're gonna have a hard time balancing. So make sure that it is centered right at that vertical axis. Then the next thing that you're gonna do is take your front foot and place it on this side of the board. Specifically, you're having your toe shoot off the outside corner or the inside corner, depending on how you're looking at it, of the board here. Then after that, you're just applying pressure onto that front foot and going to a neutral position to start your board just like this. Okay, the board can go both ways, which is awesome. The next thing to talk about is the 3 ways to get off your board. The first is just simply lifting your front heel at 1 mile per hour and then leaning back, and it'll just take you to that starting position. So as a sensor here, you just simply lift that heel. The next thing that you want to do is the bail. So you want to practice this just in case the sensor isn't working or you're going too fast and you got to jump off your board really fast. But we're just jumping with both feet at the same exact time. So getting comfortable bailing is really important. That way you're competent, like we were talking about before. And then the last way is like the most advanced way to get off the board, also the most convenient, is you take off your front foot while you're pushing your back foot down after you've built up some speed, and you just step to the side just like that. The second thing to understand is that the board goes wherever you lean. So I'm normally goofy, but currently I'm riding regular, and that's just from leaning. So let me show you guys what that looks like. So if I lean in this direction, that's where it goes. And if I lean in this direction, that's where it goes. So it just comes down to balance. You're gonna be super shaky in the beginning because you're using muscles that you've probably never used before. And you're gonna be shaky for the first, few minutes, and then you'll get used to it, and then the next day you'll be shaky again. But what's cool about this board is that it goes the same speed in both directions, and pros are extremely good about being goofy and regular. And then the third thing to understand about your board so that you're competent is pushback. So pushback is something that happens with every single board. When it reaches its capacity, it will endo. So meaning if you're going as fast as the board can possibly go, it's just gonna totally cut out. Endo, the front is gonna go into the ground and you're gonna shoot off your board. So tons of people have broken and sprained all kinds of stuff just from doing that. So understanding pushback is really important, and the way that you can recognize it is with the haptic buzz that happens. So when your board is getting close to reaching its capacity, it will vibrate at you and it will beep at you. So all of that simply means is that you need to lean back and slow down. So the capacity of each board is going to be a little bit different, so make sure that you understand how fast your board can go, and then you'll get used to it. But what's great is that haptic buzz will show you when that's about to happen. So recognize that it's trying to push back, it's trying to push that up so that you slow down. You'll also feel that push up after that haptic buzz if for whatever reason you don't feel or hear the haptic buzz. All right, so now that we're competent and we understand how the board works, we can figure out how to ride this board. So the first thing to figure out is if you're goofy or regular. For those of you that have already ridden skateboards and wave boards and all kinds of stuff, or snowboards, you know what you are. If you don't know what you are, here's a quick test that you can do. Stand flat-footed, okay, feet about shoulder width apart, lean forward, and then catch yourself. Whatever foot comes out first shows you if you're goofy or regular. If it's your right foot, you're goofy. that means that you like your right foot in front in control. If it's your left foot, you're regular, that means that you like your left foot in front and in control. All right, the next step is figuring out our foot placement. So you're gonna be putting that back foot just almost perfectly diagonal to the board, just like this. And then your front foot is gonna have a slight turn, pivot, so that it's pointing off the inside, or I guess you could say the outside of the board, depending on how you're looking at it. But we're pointing it here. That's the exact foot placement that you want. The reason that you want this pointed is so that you can pivot, okay? It's gonna be a lot easier to pivot. If instead you're straight like this, it's a whole lot harder to turn. But if I'm here, it's way easier to pivot. All right, the next thing that you're gonna do is find a wall or a friend, and you're gonna bring your board all the way up against that wall, leave a slight gap, about 6 inches or so. You're gonna put both hands on the wall and then lean forward and get used to that board going. Okay, if the board starts going forward, we're leaning back on that back foot. And you're gonna be shaking like this when you first do it, but don't be alarmed. It's just those muscles getting used to it. So then we're slowly moving across the wall and back, getting comfortable in both of these positions. Then when you're comfortable enough, let go of the wall. You're gonna be shaking like this, and then you just simply start going. A tip that has really helped me is focusing on keeping my body at the center of my board. So I wanna keep my body right at the center of my wheel. So if I'm leaning forward, it's just my foot that's doing it. It's not necessarily me. I can lean forward with my body, but then I'm leaning back, keeping it at the center of that board. I don't want to get all of the weight at the front of it. It makes it a whole lot harder to balance, and also it can lead to that haptic buzz and you endoing. So notice, even if I lean forward, the weight stays at the center of the board. I'm just simply leaning with that foot as I come through. All right, now let's talk about some practical tips that you can use to get comfortable on your Onewheel within just a few minutes of riding it after you've watched this video. Tip number one is understanding how to go toe side and heel side. So toe side is where you're leaning towards where your toes are, just like how it sounds. And heel side is where you're leaning towards where your heels are. What's gonna happen is your back leg is going to be bent while your front leg is only slightly bent. And it's kind of pointing towards where you wanna go. So what you're gonna focus on for toe side is not standing on your toes to go toe side. I'm not standing on my toes on the board to try to go toe side. Instead, what I'm gonna do is put my knee over my toe to go toe side, knee over toe. So you're getting that flexion in your ankle here. And then I'm going to lean my front hip towards where I wanna go at the same time. So I'm cutting in. Wherever that front hip is facing is where you're ultimately gonna go. And then heel side is flexion. So I'm getting that same exact flexion in my ankle like this, but I'm sitting in a chair. And then I'm also leaning where I wanna go with that front hip. So since I'm going heel side, I'm gonna be turning right for me. If you're regular, you're gonna be turning left. But since I'm going heel side, I'm going to be turning that hip towards that direction while sitting in that chair. Then I'm counterbalancing myself with that offhand. Okay, so just to show you guys with heel side, counterbalancing myself and sitting in that chair, and then I'm pointing that hip where I wanna go, which is back towards the heels. Toe side, same exact thing, but I am putting that knee over my toe and then pointing this hip where I wanna go. Okay, most important thing with this, so that you don't endo, again, make sure that the center of your body is directly over the wheel as you're going. Don't lean too far forward or too far back. The next thing to do is just to go to an open space and do these 3 drills. These 3 drills is what really got me extremely comfortable on the board in a very short amount of time. All right, so the first drill is gonna be the rocking back and forth drill. So I'm getting comfortable rocking this way and this way. So we're going from goofy to regular. This is gonna be pretty difficult because your body's gonna favor one side. It always has your entire life. You've always liked to step with that right foot forward or that left foot forward. Drill number 2 is very similar, but we're trying to stay in the same exact place. Since the wheel is so wide, this actually is a lot easier than it looks. But I'm staying in place and I'm simply rocking back and forth from heel side to toe side. Toe side, knee over, heel side, leaning back into that chair. And then drill number 3 is the figure 8 drill. This is probably the most impactful drill for practicing. But you're just gonna simply draw a figure 8. And the tighter that you can get that figure 8, the better you're gonna be. So we're just simply drawing that 8 symbol, a cursive 8, I guess you could say, or an eternity symbol as we go through. And then you wanna do that same exact thing in the opposite direction that you're used to. So for me, that would be regular, would be the opposite. And I'm trying to get comfortable. As you can see, I'm much slower on this side. It's much harder for me. I need to be better about utilizing my back foot. but I'm doing that figure 8. Well, there you have it, everything that you need to know to start riding your Onewheel within just a few minutes. So I hope that that was helpful. Now you guys understand what the Onewheel does, some drills that you can do, and some tips to get riding. If you want to keep adventuring with us, you can watch this video right here, and we will see you over there.